So although it should be another Midland 4001 next, we're just going to push this in, which of course is a Midland 77095, I think. Yes, 77095. So there were, what? Very early 90s. Can suffer from dry joints. And we're not, don't have the snag of having a meter to set up. Ought to knock him 50 pence off for not having to set the meter up. So this belongs to, you sometimes heard me talk to him, my friend's radio ham friend Stewart, whose handle on the CB is Electric Man. So I think it's suffering from dry joints. And we've got one of our customers has done some forms so I can fill them out. We used to do these in the past, so we can fill in all the criteria instead of using scraps of paper. Used to do this when I was at Nottingham Radio, and we would service a few CBs from the shop premises. But because we're trade only, it's something I've not needed to do, and I've only filled the details in really for the for this video, it's not for the customers needing to know. But it's a good idea, and I've printed a few off, and we will start with this set doing just that. Now I know this set isn't going to blow up on switch on. I know it's going to start off on channel 9, because the damn things do. So we'll go straight to 13.8 volts, current limited for 1.6 amps. And there we go. It's got the original mic. And there we have it, channel 20. So we're plugged into the test gear. We'll put picture in picture on, and I'll just go and get myself a clipboard. Right. So the scrappier the bits of paper, the more professional you are. And it's alright having these forms, but it does make you look like you're a 15-year-old just starting out and trying to make things look posh. I'll give you an example of this. When I did my apprenticeship in church organ restoration, I was put on short-time working, believe it or not, on a 3-day week. And I had to go and claim the dole or whatever you have to do. And I'd be 21 at the time, and I had to go to the job centre or whatever they call it, labour exchange, whatever, and I had to go and fill in all these forms. And they wanted proof of earnings, so I was paid cash weekly. And so they wanted me to come in with wage slips. And my wage slips were a lot worse than that. They were actually on the back of an old calendar. So over a period of several months, you kind of built a picture up, hopefully. And they were just scribbled on the back of an old calendar. You couldn't make it up. If you were going to pretend that you earned this and you were going to be fraudulent, you'd print something really nice like this. You would not make up that. Anyway, I don't mind doing this. I think it's the 21st today. See, here's the first stumbling block. I don't even know what the date is, but let's assume it's the 21st. It's Midland 77095, and just in case we've got 8 of them in, which we haven't, we'll pop down the serial number, and it is 3032424. Somebody says, why don't you put seals on when you've done them? Well, we're not retail, are we? We're trade, and everything's photographed, so if it came back and half the parts had been changed, there's no warranty anyway. You know, it's not like that. We're not retail. Right, so what does it say here? Channel 20 power. And it's doing 4 watts. Now, this difference between channel 1 and 40 and all that can be different. So channel, especially on sets you need to balance like the Cybernet. So I don't mind doing this. 4 watts. And channel 40, it's 4 watts. In low power, it doesn't have it. TX current. Right, so using the mic input, we'll go back to channel 20, or we will be in trouble. Voila! Excellent. This we won't be setting. Frequency, let's have a look at this. I could do a little bit on that. But the test set's only been on 10 minutes. Okay, let's dial in. I'm going to dial in the same frequency that it's transmitting on for fairness. So 2779087 it was. That'll do. We'll put the cyanide meter on and we'll plug in the test equipment into the extension squeaker socket. It does have PA. In fact, I'll plug the PA speaker in because we'll do that test shortly. Right, so here goes. I'm on the wrong frequency, aren't I? Or is this what's wrong? 79087. So having got it on frequency, we will look at what the cyanide meter has to say for itself. Okay, so it's actually doing, so we can't read that, all we can read is 20, so I'll just bring that back on, and it is 2.3 microvolts. And the squelch is hard on. So we don't have a meter, we don't have a meter, we don't have a meter lamp. We're going to check PA. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2, 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. Excellent. So the sockets work. Good, it's come with a mic, and does the internal speaker work? Better put a signal on it. Yes, the internal speaker works. I'll come back to that. Right. So that's gone through that. I'll put the smouldering bat on because I'm going to put this smaller screwdriver. I'm going to put the soldering bat on because we're going to have to unsolder that speaker, aren't we? You got the hiccups. So although we're going to go through everything, we'll see if we can get to the bottom of why the squelch is doing what it's doing. going to take the bottom lid off. We'll just look for dry joints. Not that it's kind of not showing that. I actually thought these had a VCO can, but this set doesn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause the video and we'll have a look at that under a magnifier. Right, so I've gone through for a few potential dry joints. So we know the transmitter is actually doing proper 4 watts. I will just make sure it's peaked correctly. So there's no, the reason for that, we don't want an internal SWR problem. If one stage was out of kilter, it could have internal SWR snags, which we don't want to kill parts of. So, peak, 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 and there we are. 4 watts. Have I got the picture in picture on? Yes, I have. So that's the first thing. I don't know if there's only 3 adjustments in here. That's going to be squelch. There's going to be deviation. There may be power. So I could get the circuit diagram out. I really don't need to because there's nothing I'm going to mess up. So what's this do? No idea. What's this do? That is power. So now it's peaked. Right. So I'm going to switch. I'll put it on frequency right now, and we can always come back to it later if the test, once the test set's warmed up for its proper time. Good. So if that's power, that must be deviation. And it was already about where it should be, so I can just bring it up a little tiny fraction. I'm not showing the right meter. I expect that's deviation. It is. Wallow, that's it. Now, there you go. So it's still 4 watts output, but it's now 992 milliamps and not 1066. So by making sure all the stages are lined up absolutely perfectly, it's generating much less heat and drawing more, less current. There we go. So we're not going to do the VCO on this because it's I don't have specific instructions and there isn't a problem with it. Get quite a generous speaker, don't you, considering what you get these days in new sets. Good, well that covers the transmit, so we don't need to look at any meters because there isn't one. So we're going to, clearly that's the squelch preset, we're going to have to turn that right down. That's probably all that's wrong. Right, here goes, we're over to receive. So at what point does the signal generator have to produce a signal? So we still haven't got 0.5 is the lowest at which a signal I can put on for the thing to open up, which is not ideal. It could be the detector's out. So that needs to be the first port of call. I'll just make sure the signal generator's on frequency because we set it low, it isn't now. 7791225. That'll matter later on. There we go, that's set. And I want a big signal of 100 microvolts, and we'll look at that on the oscilloscope. And I'll plug the extension speaker back in. The text is going to be that one. And that's the best position. It's a slight adjustment there. I may have to alter a component value for him. We don't normally modify sets, but that's frustrating. And we can't tune this properly with it doing this. Don't think it's faulty. I think it's trying to send me something in Morse code. What do you reckon? So I've got it purposely on the edge like that. That's interesting. It's changed now I've taken the lid off. Make sure these are tight. I'm going to have to print the circuit off. Pause the video. So looking at the circuit diagram, and all I've got is a redrawn one, which is very welcome. Capacitor 12 and capacitor 32 could have some effect on the squelch. So the IF chip is there. We've got that decoupling capacitor there, which goes to one of the pins of the squelch department. And then we've also got it was bigger on the computer screen. I spotted one down here somewhere. We've got that one. Then the squelch comes down there. I think that's an electrolytic as well. I'll have to put the other glasses on. Yeah, 2.2 microfarads. So we'll change the 2.2 microfarads there, and we'll change the 4.7 microfarad there. Two point two and 4.7. Now, I've never had to change capacitors in one of these. I am clutching at straws. It's a friend's set. Otherwise, we've got to start modifying the circuit, and I don't like doing that. I'm going to turn off the power supply and try and find those capacitors. And that's going to be novel because we haven't got a proper layout. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for capacitor 12 and I'm looking for capacitor 32. So I can see 32. So we may as well do that while I can remember where it is. Make sure I've got that out the right way. It's positive to the right, and that's 2.2 microfarads. So we'll see whether it's anywhere near. It's not going back, whether it works or not. That says it's fine. It's way less when I put this in. The dry joints, you know, on some of these Midlands, it's not to do with the not being soldered right, it's to do with the parts not being cleaned properly when they put them in. Like I didn't clean that part at all, and neither did Midland. There's a potential dry joint there. It's only an earth tag to a can, but you know, may as well. So the other one, so that was capacitor 32. So capacitor 12, see if we can find that. It'd be fun if I couldn't, wouldn't it? It's that one. We'll test that. Probably not faulty either. Should be 4.7 microfarads. And so it is. So put the new one in. Right, we'll power it back up. It's no doubt going to be exactly the same. Where's that lid? I don't like it being without its lid. So we'll put some signal on it. We'll go to channel 20. Turn the signals generator down, and it's still playing its squelch game. Right. So we should have a preset there, which is, it says 50k on it. What does the circuit diagram say? The squelch normal is there. The squelch preset is supposed to be there, and it says 10k. Interesting. So it's 50k on the main squelch control. It's supposed to be 10k on that. Okay, well, we'll change it. Turn the power off. I am always wary of redrawn circuits. Somebody might have wanted to up the squelch range, you see. This is definitely not original. And that's the print just about gone there. Good. Out you come. Okay, so we snap that wire off. We get these from Rapid Online. They only seem to be the only supplier of what are called skeleton presets. And the trouble is, you start trying to put others in, and they need the holes changing or the spacing changing. So where does that wire? I think that wires the probably the audio. So it doesn't matter at this moment. We can worry about that. I didn't realise it was caught round the pliers. There we go. It's only used as a rheostat. Right, we'll power it back up. Once again, we've got to select channel 20. No, no change, but this is... Oh, well, hang on a minute, we haven't turned it down. Yes, that's that, and that's that. So it's now 0.47 for it to open. But it is frustrating that you've got the squelch on. So let's go and see what we can alter to make that better. I'll have a think about this and we'll put the video back on. I've just had a look on the shelf and I've got a 77104 myself, which I've bought like this. But it might be possible to do some tests. At least we can see where the pesky wire goes. This is probably scarier than it looks. No, I'll start again. This is probably less scary than it looks. So it's a mic socket wire that's dangling off. And it actually just goes. Oh my goodness. What has somebody done to it? Oh, they've tried to replace the ribbon with individual wires. Well, if we can get that back in, if this will work enough for me to do receive, we can do some comparisons. I expect I bought this out of a radio rally for out of a £2 bin. Tried to think when I bought it. Good. So you've still got these extra parts on the bottom, so it's not that the set I'm looking at has been messed with when you actually start looking at that. That LED's broken away from the print. Anyway, not bothered about that. So I'm going to we'll put its bottom on. That's matey's bottom. We won't put its bottom on. We'll shove that to one side, and we'll connect this one up. What I'm wanting to do is to do some voltage comparisons. If this will power up, and if it won't, well, at least we know where that pesky wire goes. just makes you wonder what people do with sets, doesn't it? And that says what? That says 50k, which means our redrawn circuit is wrong. What happens when we turn it on? It's already on. Yeah, we've got broken tracks on here. This is the trouble. Because I've used solid wire, not multi-strand. It's just not got the flexibility. No, it's not. We're not going to be able to do anything with that. So I'll put this wire back. Right, folks, what I've done, we've changed one or two resistors. I can't get the squelch to open fully, but at the moment I've taken this 4K7 resistor out. I've managed to find a not brilliant copy of the circuit, which is this is not 77095. This looks like Kernow Beta 1100 to me, and round here is totally different, which is where we're looking on the squelch circuit. So I can barely read this, but there's 68k there, which I've changed. It was only 69.1, but it's made a bit of a difference. We've got a resistor there that's not shown on the redrawn circuit, and I've just changed, well, that one, and I've taken out resistor 19. And that has disabled the squelch, so I can at least tune the receiver. So, that's 0.3 of a microvolt. Let's go over to the synad meter. It is, at least it's Stewart set, so it can go back not 100%. I haven't got another of these to compare it with. So the trouble is, do the squelches open fully when you've got not got a signal? Or does this have a double squelch action? I don't know. So, I want the synad meter. Come on, synad meter. Thank you. So we'll drop it to about 4 dB. Put some volume on it. It's certainly sensitive. So let's just look where these are. Front end. Four, 2, 3 and 4. Front end of 2, 3 and 4. Two, 3, 4. So just go through those all through. Put a bit more signal on for the others, which must be IF. Right. So we've now got a sensitivity of, for 12 dB sound at 0.52. Oh, which we couldn't get before, could we? Of course we couldn't get a figure before. So I've got 0.52 microvolts. For 10 dB, we've got 0.44. And for 20, it is 1.8. So we have improved that. Good. So I'm going to, you know what, I'm probably going to drop that resistor from 4.7, change that resistor from 4.7k to 5.1k. We'll see whether that works out. Right folks, so we've got squelch action. It's 0.35 of microvolts is the minimum it will go to, and at the other end we're looking at about 1.5 microvolts. So it isn't right. So you know, if this was a customer repair, it would have to go back unrepaired. As it's Stewart, he might find it's usable, but I can't be spending hours and hours and hours. I've just spent about 4 hours on this. So we've changed some resistors, we've changed some capacitors, we've changed the FM chip, and we've checked the resistance of the squelch control, and we've changed the preset. So there's something not right. There's a lot of things being checked, but there you are. Not helped by a tiny circuit diagram, even when I managed to actually pay for a download of that circuit diagram. So, not a satisfactory job. Don't need a mic on this set to make it work. So we'll just do 2 more checks. I'll just go over to the sensitivities. We've done the sensitivity, that was done. We'll just go and check, in line with our new sheets. I just want to check channel 1 and 40 just for the giggles. So let's see what we've got on channel 40. Oh, it's one of these sets, is it, where if you put an extension speaker in, it's 4.4 watts, which is the maximum I can allow, giving a 10% instrumentation error. It's 4.4 at the band edge. Let's just check it's not 4.4 in the middle. Yeah, it is. So just drop that. So that's 4. Now we'll recheck the band edge and scroll that down again. I'd hate him to get another 50 yards than he's entitled to. 4.2. That's better. Channel 40. 4.2. Good. So nice looking set, but he might be better off finding a set that works better. Something isn't right, and the trouble is you don't know whether it's never been right. And I've had some of the Midlands from this era where the squelch doesn't open at minimum squelch, and that said, you know, 0.3 microvolts. Well, I don't think you're going to be hearing anything under that anyway because of the noise floor. But he's just going to have to see whether the squelch action is adequate or not. But I say he's only up the road. It's not a problem. He's chairman of the club. He'll just drum me out if it doesn't work right, and that's it. So I had Mr Chippie change that chip, and then I changed the rest of the things. So we'll pop this back together. And I won't say job's a good one because job isn't a good one. I think he had one of these as a 14-year-old, did Stewart. He might correct me if he watches this video. And I think it's a nostalgia thing, because I know he has I think he's got a Fidelity 2001 and a 2000 as well, and they work very well. He used to have a Harrier CBHQ till I bought it off him. Right, we'll get it on the aerial, and then we'll do a scratchy corner test. I bet Mr Chippie's in the car revving it up. We've gone 8 o'clock. Do you rev up electric cars? I don't think you do rev up electric cars. My whole car thing was always to glide round silently. So I never did get the boy racer type of extra noisy exhaust. Don't know how they get an MOT test. Right, that's all the screws in. And we'll plug the aerial in. The Antron 99 or the Solarcon 99 or whatever. Turn the test gear off. So I can't turn the squelch any further down, but if anybody's out there it'll say something. 190 Roger. Not got any of those. Yeah, you know, it's picking something up from 35 miles away. But we normally have it so that it's hissing. Right. One of our failures, I say, would go back non-repaired, but in this case, see how Stewart gets on with it. We'll do an on-the-air test and see whether we get on with it. So thank you for watching. We failed to sort out a Midland 77095. Is it 77095? Thanks for watching.